I want to go right now to the live line. My very dear friend, he is a patriot, a veteran, the White House correspondent for the South Shore Press and also multiple different national media outlets. My brother, Neil McCabe, he's a national reporter out of Washington, D.C., is joining us live on News Radio 930 WBEN. Neil, how you doing, brother?
Hey, fantastic. Recently, maybe about 2 months ago, I had to buy my dear wife some NyQuil, and I didn't have my ID with me. They wouldn't let me buy the NyQuil.
No.
Yeah, because, it's like there's like an age requirement in D.C. But still, I mean, it's like, I was like, come on. It's like, are you serious? And so you need an ID card. You need an ID to buy NyQuil, but not to vote.
Well,
so whatever.
It's unbelievable. It's crazy. I mean, it's absolutely bananas. And the only reason why they don't want ID because they want illegals to vote and they want to cheat. So I know who you are. You've been a dear friend for a long time. You're the White House correspondent for multiple media outlets, including the South Shore Press. So for folks who may not be familiar with Neil McCabe, your time on national television, give us the Reader's Digest version of how tuned you in D.C. and your bio and some of the things that you've done, including serving our great nation. And thank you very much for wearing the uniform.
Well, let me say, so I wrote for Boston's Catholic paper for about 8 years. I was the editor of the Somerville News, which is a city just outside of Boston. I owned my own newspaper. It was a monthly in North Cambridge. Then I deployed to the new Iraq as a combat historian for 15 months with the Army Reserve. Then took a year, stayed on active duty, spent a year at Fort Bragg doing public affairs and writing for that newspaper at Fort Bragg. And then I came to D.C. for Human Events. I was part of the last newspaper staff of Human Events. A lot of people don't know. Human Events used to be a newspaper, and I was on the last staff before they closed that down and worked for Breitbart, One America News, and, of course, now I'm with the South Shore Press. I also do work with Bannon's War Room and some other – I do hits on other radio stations and whatnot. But it's absolutely incredible to me how some things never change in Washington. And one of them is, it's like every day you wake up in the morning as a reporter and you're like, well, what do I do? What do I cover? And one story you can always cover is how is the Republican leadership trying to kneecap conservatives today? And so conservatives want the Save America Act. It's the number one legislative priority of the President of the United States, and the Senate Republican leadership has basically said, pound sand. We don't care.
Give us
and frankly, go ahead.
Well, give us the insight, Neil. I mean, you're in D.C., you're at the White House, so give us the inside scoop. Like, what is going on?
Well, first of all, you can't expect the Republican establishment and this sort of hackorama that you've dealt with, these consultants and staffers who are culturally left-wing. They're not conservatives, right? It's just a hackorama, and they have no interest in changing a system that has brought them wealth and power. So, it's like, why would they change that system? They're living their best life. But the current problem that the president faces is that the most important thing in Washington is not politics or policy, it's the calendar. And after July 4th, nothing gets done until the State of the Union. That's just the way it goes. And so what will happen is everybody goes home for summer break, for parades and picnics and fundraisers. And then they come back after Labor Day. And then we have to do the whole ooh-ha-ha, the budget crisis, because everyone forgot, oh, wait, we're supposed to pass a budget this year? We had no idea. And then you kick the can to all these Monday holidays with these continuing resolutions, right? So you do Columbus Day in October, you do Veterans Day in November, and then you have Thanksgiving, right? And then you're stumbling along until Christmas. And then finally the leadership will tell the rank and file, you have to vote for this or you can't go home. And then they just at that point, they vote for whatever is put in front of them, they vote for because it's Christmas and they have to go home. And then they come back and we start again with the State of the Union. And we do this, and then we go from this. So New Year's Day for the legislative calendar is whenever the president gives his State of the Union. And then you go straight through to July 4th and you see what you can get done. And it just goes over and over and over again. It's like Groundhog Day.
So basically to kill the SAVE Act, a lot of Rhino Republicans and a lot of
ran it out till July 4th, and now there's nothing gets done.
That's it. That's such a fascinating take, Neil, for people at home to know that and understand that in Washington, you don't have to scream bloody murder. You don't have to run to the media. You don't have to fight for a bill. You just have to run out the clock.
Yeah, you just give the ball to OJ, and you run out the clock.
It's very well known in Buffalo, New York, the electric company, to say the least. Let's talk about President Trump. He's got a big address to the nation Thursday night. What insight can you give us as a D.C. insider? What can we expect Thursday night? What's going on?
I spent some time at the Justice Department last year. I was like a sabbatical from journalism. And it was frustrating, right? Because you're a reporter and you're in these meetings and they're telling you all these crazy things. And you're like, wow, I wish I could write some of this. Right? I wish I could tell somebody, right? People will call me and they'll say, hey, is this true? And my real answer to them is, if I knew it, I couldn't tell you. If I didn't know it, I could just gossip like everybody else. But the fact of the matter is that I was in meetings at the Justice Department with people from the intelligence community and other communities, cybersecurity. There was tremendous foreign interference in the 2020 election. We were lied to. We were told it didn't happen. And, some of it is because it's not so much we don't want the American people to know what's happening, but we don't want people to know how we got the information, right? So the sources and methods we want to protect. And sources and methods basically keeps everyone in the dark. And so, the American people could handle it. You just explain it to them. But there are cases of the Chinese, cases with the Iranians, cases with the Venezuelans, frankly, not so much with the Russians, right? But where wacky things happened. And I suspect that will all come to the fore. And it's interesting that Bill Pulte, who's a very good friend of mine, who's he's head of the Federal Housing Finance Agency. He's the director, but he's also the acting director of national intelligence. And they're so praised about getting rid of Bill Pulte as the director of national intelligence that when Trump said he would name the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, Jay Clayton, Trump named Clayton on Thursday, and then Friday, John Thune says, the majority leader of the Senate, he says, we're having a confirmation hearing on Clayton on Wednesday. We'll try to get this guy approved on Thursday, and we'll swear him in on Friday. And then Trump's like, wow, you guys, I can't get you guys to do anything.
So, Neil, let's go back to reporter Neil McCabe, Washington, D.C. correspondent for the South Shore Press. He's on Bannon's War Room all the time. So Thursday night, buddy, you think the president is going to be talking about election integrity, what foreign adversaries and bad actors basically stole the election and cheated in the election, and your gut feeling is this is going to come out Thursday night?
Right. And what's interesting is that, because this is national security and counterintelligence, it is not criminal. And so a judge can't say, no, you can't do this. Because when it comes to national security, counterintelligence, counterterrorism, right, that's the president's job. He is the commander in chief, and you don't even need a warrant, right? That's if it's because it's war, right? You don't need a war. You can't the day may come where a federal judge says, puts a restraining order, right? So we're attacking the Iranians. The Iranians file suit, and then a judge puts a temporary 3-day restraining order on the Defense Department saying we can't attack Iran for 3 days. That day may come, but it isn't here yet. And so an example of this is Tulsi Gabbard, when she sees the Fulton County ballots, she realized that the FBI has, it's law enforcement, but it's also turned itself into an intelligence agency. Well, if they're an intelligence agency, they don't have one master, the Attorney General. They also have the Director of National Intelligence. And so she ordered the FBI as a counterintelligence move to seize those Fulton County ballots. And because Democrats block the appointment of MAGA prosecutors in blue states, and that Thune and Grassley, Thune, the majority leader, Grassley, chairman of Senate Judiciary, the Senate Republican leadership allows Democrats to block Trump's MAGA appointments for U.S. attorneys. That warrant had to go through the U.S. attorney in St. Louis, Missouri, which fortunately has 2 Republican senators, so the U.S. attorney there is actually MAGA. And so this is an extension of what Gabbard was up to, and Bill Pulte, he just does not care. He just wants the truth out. He's not trying to be the governor of something. He's already got enough family money so he can buy and sell whoever he wants. And he just wants America to be a democracy, and he loves the president. And the president knows that Bill Pulte will get it done.
So people should be tuning in Thursday night. You're thinking big-time bombshell from President Trump.
I've also heard, and this is rumor intelligence, that he could challenge the validity of those 2 Senate seats that the Democrats won in 2020, if you remember, in that cycle. And there could be more coming out. Obviously, there was stuff going on in Los Angeles. There was stuff going on in Fulton County, Georgia. There was stuff going on in different parts of the country, in Michigan. There was a lot of hoo-ha-ha going on, and the people have a right to know. And it's interesting, on Truth Social today, the president actually posted a video of President Kennedy warning about a conspiracy against the United States. And so I think the signals are there. Let's see if he can follow through. But I think the American people can handle what happened, and it just explains things that we all suspected, Stefan. When I was at Project Veritas, I was the comms director for Project Veritas in 2020. The most powerful Project Veritas stories, right, with James O'Keefe, were the ones where it's something we suspected all along. Everyone told us that we were delusional, we're making it up, it's all garbage, and then you get people on tape saying and doing everything that we suspected they were up to, right? That resonates. And so what the president's going to talk about Thursday is all the stuff we suspected anyway. I don't know how they stole 2020. I didn't know then how they stole 2020. All I knew is that they stole it. And people would say to me, well, if you can't tell me how they did it, then I guess it didn't happen. It's like, I knew. I was living in America in 2020. I was living in America when Clinton won, when Obama won, when Carter won. I know what it's like when a Democrat wins. You can feel it. That 2020. Anyway, I'm making my point, I guess.
But it's going to be an interesting night, Thursday night, to say the least. So I really appreciate this insight. It means a lot. I mean, you are so plugged in to the White House in Washington, D.C., and it's really intriguing what you've just shared, and to all of our WBEN listeners. So they're going to be listening Thursday night to the president, 9 o'clock Eastern, to say the least. So, all right, Neil McCabe, Washington, D.C. correspondent for the South Shore Press. You'll see him and hear him on Bannon's War Room. And where else can they find you, brother? What other media outlets?
Well, I'm on Armed American Radio. I do hits on the John Fredericks. But if they follow me on all the socials, at Reporter McCabe, that's where they'll see and hear me, and all my insanities. They can judge for themselves.
At Reporter McCabe. And most important,
sift through the nonsense and maybe find something that makes sense.
But most important, you wore the uniform. Thank you for your service. Thank you very much.
I was happy to do it. Believe me. Absolutely thrilled to do it.